Evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. My name is Mary Sylvia Aremwa. I work at Passcode. If you can hear me, just give a thumbs up so that I can go to continue. So as we wait for the rest of the team to join us, anyone who can hear my voice, just give me a thumbs up so that I may be able to continue. Let me check on the chat box. Thanks, there's one who's saying they can hear me, so that means we can proceed with the webinar today. So allow me to briefly talk about what Passcode does before we invite our speakers today and even before our moderator comes in. So here at Passcode, we support nurses and healthcare professionals through the NCLEX registration and NCLEX review program, as well as structured nursing pathways to the USA, that is the USRN, and the German, including guidance on training, exams, and migration processes. Our focus is on clarity. We usually provide honest assessments and step-by-step support so that you can make informed decisions without confusion. If anything is discussed, anything that is going to be discussed today sparks questions for you, feel free to reach out to us after the webinar for a free assessment. We will be happy to guide you on your next steps and to take you through all the processes that are required for you to attain your goal. And so as I welcome everyone to the webinar today, allow me to also invite Humphrey to say hi and take over from there. Karibu sana, Humphrey.
Thank you so much, Mary Sylvia, for even taking over from, starting the webinar. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for showing up to this webinar. I know you have come up to the webinar expectant to hear from us and our guests. And I can assure you that by the end of the webinar, we will have delivered what we promised that we are going to deliver. So let me introduce myself. My name is Humphrey Nkonge. I am the Director of Programs at Passcode Global Consultants. I'm a nurse by profession. Registered in Kenya, also registered in the US, in the state of Texas, endorsed my license to the state of Virginia. So I'm registered in 2 states. And I'm happy to be in this webinar, and I'm very glad to host you guys that you have come to this webinar. We have done a number of webinars this year and also in the years before. And one of the questions that you have been asking us is, how do I prepare to settle in the US? Because majority of the people in this webinar, I think all of them, I think maybe all of you are in the NCLEX revision program or planning to join the NCLEX revision program with a view to moving to the US to practice there. And preparing yourself well before moving to the US is very, very important, so that when you move to the US, you will not undergo a huge shock, maybe culture shock or any other type of shock, and you will not be disoriented. From experiences that I get from some people, some of the people go to the US and within the first few weeks, they feel like getting back to their places or to their countries again. And it is only after some time they get settled. And that is likely to happen if you are not prepared well to move to the US. So this year, 2026, we started a series of webinars to give back to our clients, and our clients are you, nurses. And we decided that one of the webinars in our Giving Back webinar series is actually to talk about how to settle in the US. And this webinar, therefore, is relevant to every person who has not yet gone to the US, whether you have done NCLEX or not. And I'm glad that I can see in the attendance list quite a number of people who have already gone through the Passcode NCLEX revision program, passed NCLEX. We assisted them to get jobs. They are now in the immigration pathway, waiting to move to the US. I can see you here, and thank you so much for attending. We have our guest who is going to talk to us about settling to the US, life in the US. We will also be addressing your questions. And therefore, without much ado, I wouldn't want to waste more time or to buy more time to allow people to join. I would want us to give our guest enough time so that all of us can benefit, and also so that we can have enough time for questions. In between the breaks, I'll be inviting our staff, Mary Sylvia from Passcode Consultants, to tell us about our services. And hopefully, as we go on, our other guests will also be joining, who has experience of working in the US and Canada. And he will also be able to share insights on the two countries. I would like you to send your questions on the chat box, because I trust that you will be having many questions when our speaker starts to speak. And for the sake of order, I will ask that we send our questions on the chat box. Since I'm not the one who will be talking, I will be going through the questions and I will be noting them down so that I can link up the questions that are similar to summarize them to our guest. If time allows, we can allow one or two people to ask their questions on voice, but for now, please send them on the chat box and we are going to be reading them. Also, our contacts will be shared on the chat box as we continue, so that if you will have more questions after the webinar or you want to join any of our programs, you can always join. So allow me to introduce our guest from the US who is going to be speaking to us. Her name is Angeline Kemunto. Angeline is a friend and also a nurse, originally from Kenya, but has been working in the US for the last number of years. I may not be very accurate to say, but she will say that, probably more than 3. And Angeline will also have the opportunity to introduce herself more than the introduction I have made. And she will be taking us through how to settle in the US, how she settled in the US, what challenges she went through. But I will allow the first opportunity to just go through the general settlement process to the US and how to prepare. And we will be able to proceed from there as questions come up and also as per our plan. So Angeline, if you can hear me, kindly you can unmute and take over the stage. And we are very grateful to have you. Karibu sana.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Angeline Kemunto, and I'm happy to join you this evening. It's 10 o'clock in the morning here in Texas, Corpus Christi, Texas. We worked together with Humphrey at some point, and then, we went different ways. So he's my friend and my colleague too. And I'm so proud of the work he's doing to make sure our friends and colleagues transition successfully to the US and get the best out of this land of milk and honey. So, quick introduction. I worked in Kenya for 5 years as a nurse at Kenyatta National Hospital. And then I moved to the US in October 2021. So this will be my 5th year. I'm about to naturalize to become a US citizen this year. So I've worked here 4 years and a few months. I moved here with my family. We had a son who was aged 4, who is now 8. And now we have another one who's 3. So I'm a mother of 2 boys, 8 years and 3. I thought I should mention because childcare is one of the things that can make transitioning to the US very, very hard. So that's quick introduction about whom I am, and we'll quickly go into cultural transition and being successful as a nurse in the US. I'll just leave the immigration a bit because that one I'm sure you got a lot of information about it. As long as you got your documents, your names are matching. If not, you got affidavits, you know where you're going to work, who's going to be your employer, which state, is it full-time, and you got all your passports, marriage certificate if you're married, or, consent from the other parent, if you're moving with the child whose parent is not coming. If you got all your documents in order, I was only asked a few questions. Where are you going to work? How much, is it full-time? Who's going to be your employer? And when I said where I'm going to work, the type of job I'm going to do, they asked my husband, who is this with you? And that was my son. And that's it, visa granted. No complications. As long as all your documents were arranged correctly, no names that vary, or if they vary, there's an affidavit to it, then you'll get your visa. So, and then you'll celebrate. But then there comes a huge process of moving and settling in a new area. And that's what we're going to talk about. I'll be very brief so I can open up for the questions, because I know you got so many questions and I will not be able to know what to talk about if I don't see what you need me to talk about. However, I'll give a background and then we'll pick it up from there. I hope you're all getting me, right?
Yes, Angeline, we can hear you very clearly. Maybe we can have someone else say whether they can hear.
Yeah, before we continue.
Please. Can you just tell us on chat whether you can hear, please? Let us hear from the chat. I can hear you. Another person, please. Perfect. Yeah, people can hear you loud and clear. I've received about 10 responses so far.
Good job. All right. First thing is physically settling, and then we'll get to settling at work. Those are 2 different things. So your visa has been granted, you got a date to, get your flight and come over here. Depending on if you're a direct hire or you're going with agency, there'll be different pathways. I'm grateful that I was with an agency. And so for them, they got a 6 weeks transition program. So I went into the program and I was kind of oriented on what to expect, both in terms of how to purchase a car, how to get a house, how to get childcare. I was given driving lessons. That was amazing. I would encourage those who have agents that's going to do that for you, then you're at a better place. However, many agencies now do not offer that program. You're going to take a flight from JKIA, you're going to land to the US, and then you're going to go to your apartment. They will maybe have organized where you're going to sleep for 3 days, maybe an hotel, and then you're going to go to your apartment and life starts. So for those who have agency that's going to take you through the transition program, I'm going to say you're at a better place. But let's focus on those who are going to come direct and start, settling down and start working. First things first, drive back home as much as you can. Be a good, competent driver back home. Defensive driving. Drive, drive, drive. That's what I can say. Because when you land here, whoever the agency is or direct hire, whoever, they're gonna hire for you a hotel. And in those 3 days, they're gonna take you to their car dealership. They're gonna help you choose a car, and then you'll be told to drive off to your house. That's what I was told. And for me, I moved first, and then my husband joined me about, let's say, a month after. We used to drive in Kenya, but as it is in Kenya, most of the time the man drives you around or drops you at work. And the only time I got to drive is when I got my visa and I was getting ready. So then we had to go to Kasarani Stadium or somewhere, and I tried to drive around. So then I wasn't the best at driving. So I was shaking because now I got a car, I have to test drive. And people here did not understand how somebody that's more than 20 years is not able to drive, because over here at 16 years, children or like high school students start getting the driving license to drive with an adult or whatever. So they drive very early in life. By the time you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s, driving is not something they mention. So they couldn't understand how a whole grown lady doesn't know how to drive. So then, first things first, drive back home, be a safe driver, so that when you get here, when you buy your first car, you'll be able to put on your Google map and drive. Take your car home, learn how to drive from home to work, home to the store, home to your child's school. And then with time, you're going to get more experience. That's first. And if you've got a spouse, both of you learn to drive, because driving is not optional in the US. It's basic. Number 2, save money. You need money to start settling down. You need to pay your deposit and your first month's rent. And then you need to pay for your electricity, water. You got to set up some utilities to kick off life. You may not immediately need sofa sets or couches, but you need a chair. You need maybe your first dining set, some pots, whatever, kitchen stuff. You need money. I'm not saying too much money, but because I know the economy is bad, but at least get some money to get you started. You have a roof over your head, you got electricity, water, and you can buy yourself food and some pots to cook. And then once you start earning, you can get yourself a good set of seats. You can fill in the gaps, but save money. 3, nowadays everything is online. Try to look up if you're gonna get an apartment, schools around there, the ratings, get to know your area. And then most importantly, if you're coming to a state, try to be in groups. That's what helped a lot. We have WhatsApp groups for Kenyans that moved, let's say 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Get to know, is there a Kenyan near or working in the hospital you're going to? You can ask Humphrey or somebody to post in our groups, and then get a friend or a Kenyan family that lives in or around where you are. You will be happy you did, because they will show you, this is how you maybe open a bank account, this is where you get your groceries, this is what we do, this is the school, this is how you apply to the school district. It will make your life easier. If you're coming to Texas, Dallas, or wherever, get to know, is there an African family? Is there a church? Church, you meet Kenyan friends. Try to link up with people that are already here to make your transition easier. I had a group last year, no, the other year, 2023, that moved. There were 10 Kenyan families that were with Interstaff. So when one of them approached me and they got a group WhatsApp of those coming here, what I did, I got an apartment for them, and they all lived in the same block. And the apartment has a school across the road. So then they just take their children. They do not have to drive to school. because then, when you first start, you start with one car. So if you're working at night, you went with the car to work, your spouse needs to take the child to school. What are they going to use? So then conveniently, they got an apartment with a school nearby. They stayed there for 1 year, but, right now only 2 remained there. They've already known their way around here. They went to states that pay well or towns that pay well. And I'm happy for them. So what I'm saying is, get someone on the ground if you can, or someone you can call, in case you're stuck. Get connected. It will make settling very easy. Because then when you come, you do not need to pack maize flour from home, or what do we pack again? Royco from home. Because when you come here, there are African stores. They're going to be a little bit expensive, but then it's worth it. It's not, we don't carry tea leaves anymore from home, stuff like that. Because when you come over here, there are African shops, there are online shops. You're going to get stuff that we get back home. Talking about settling again. So now let's say you got a car, you know to drive, you got an apartment, your child is situated at school. And then communicate with your spouse very, very well. When they arrive here, expectations, high expectations make disappointments. From back home, start talking about when you move here, it's going to be new. He or she may not get a job immediately. Or if there will be a job, you still need to know how to drive around. You need to get your children situated before someone can start working. You need to know which shift you're going to work, so the other person can work opposite shifts. So it may take 3 months or 4 months or 6 months, whatever, for you all to get situated. Tell them there's going to be change of roles. You all need grace. You all need to, be bearing over, it's very heavy. Let your partner understand it's going to be a matter of time before they also start working. And let them support you in this season. If need be, they can even drive you to work and take the kids to school while you are on orientation, so you can focus on the current stress at work while they are free for now to take care of their home. And then after you get off orientation and you're competent to take yourself to work, and then you know your way around here, then they can start working. Because if 2 of you come in expecting to start working tomorrow at the same time, they're going to be a problem. Because then, let's say you got kids, who's going to take care of the kids? You have one car. Whoever was the one that was the nurse will have the car in their name. This other person doesn't have a car, doesn't have a job. You see what I'm talking about? They have to wait. You all have to share the car until a time you're able to get 2 cars, and life goes on. The fruits are going to be there, but it's going to take some time. The first few months can be stressful. So give yourself some grace. Talk more, communicate. And then, household chores are going to change. Let's say you're working. He's going to have to cook or clean or take care of the kids or run errands while you're sleeping if you worked night shift. So that's part of the culture shock that's expected. But, I'm not focusing on the negatives. There'll be jobs, there'll be, good dollars, there'll be money you'll be able to invest, but give yourself some time to settle down. Okay. That's a lot about culture and transitioning. 3, let's talk about your first day at work, or setting yourself up for success at work. You are new in the country. You got an accent just like I do. It's going to be hard for some people to understand what you're saying. Do not fear. Speak slowly. If need be, ask for clarification if they need you to repeat some words or spell them out. Because till now, most people don't know how to spell or say my last word. So whenever the lab calls me about a patient, they're going to say, all right, can you give us your name? I say, my name is Angeline. And your last name? I say, Kemunto. They say, what? I say, Kemunto. Just, spell out your name, do whatever it takes, because the whole point is you need to communicate and understand each other. So when on your first day at work, dress, if you need navy blue scrubs or whatever, dress nicely, have your stethoscope ready, your pen, your notebook, everything. Be confident. People don't like people that are timid. I have seen a nurse that had to quit agency because whoever was precepting the nurse said this nurse doesn't know anything. When I talked to the nurse later, I realized she's very timid. She doesn't talk. She doesn't say her mind. So everyone takes it like, she doesn't know what she's doing. But she's a great nurse. She moved to another state and she's doing amazing. Be confident, speak up, introduce yourself nicely. I'm so and so. I'm Angeline Kemunto. I came here recently from Kenya. I've been a nurse 20 years, but I'm new in this setup. Because most of you have worked more than a year in Kenya before you move here. Carry with you that experience. Introduce yourself. I've been a nurse for 10 years, but I'm new in this setting. But that's why I'm working with the nurse so and so. Be confident, both to one precepting you, like to your colleagues, and to the patients. Nobody wants somebody that's unsure of themselves to take care of them. So carry confidence with you. Another thing, be observant. What's going on? Watch. Come in early. Let's say your shift starts at 7 in the morning. Be there at 6:30, already, with your stuff that you need for the day. Watch as people come in. What do they use to get reports? Do they take printouts? Know who you're working with, take the assignment, look up your patients. What's going on with the patient? Why are they here? What medication do they take? What orders do we have today? Are they going to dialysis? Are they going to surgery? What's going on? So that by the time it's 7 o'clock and the other nurse is giving report, you already know what's going on. And even if they're speaking too fast, you can't even notice what they're saying. You already know what's going on. And when you ask a question, you ask a question from an informed point of view. That way you can take care of the patients nicely. And then ask for their door codes. Over here, there will be badges. You badge into a door, or there will be codes. Let's say the restroom code is 1, 2, 3, 4. Check. Ask what's the door code. Ask for information you need to succeed. Do not be too afraid to ask, and then you're going to make a silly mistake, and then you're going to be in for it. You better ask before you do, instead of doing something wrong and you regret. So ask, especially when you're on orientation. Ask questions, observe what's going on, and then get a routine for yourself. Let's see how you prioritize your work, what you do first thing, and then always remember it's your license. Protect your license with all it takes. Some people come here and lose their license. Why? They don't care what's going on with the patient, whatever, and then you're going to find a patient, you got report on a patient, you didn't see them. Please go to the bedside, get report, look at the patient, and then proceed. Because some people are gonna speak so far. Hey, honey, 522. He's amazing, sweetheart. He got vitals okay. He's waiting for dialysis. And then you go in the room, patient is unresponsive. What are you gonna say? You already got report. The other nurse clocked out and left. You're in trouble. See the patient that you're getting report. Walk there, say, hi, this is Angeline. I'm gonna be your night nurse. How can I help you? Or I'll see you later. And then, get report. So protect your license, be confident, speak up, ask for help, and then also give help whenever you're off orientation and you see somebody's running up and down. Be like, hey, is there something I can help you with? They will like you. They will know you're a good team player. Because over here, as a nurse, you cannot work by yourself. There are medications that two of you have to sign off. There are some places you have to remove medication where you are two nurses. So if you're going to be the one that doesn't talk to anybody, then what? Have good sense of humor. You'll find some people telling you their whole life story, like the nurses you work with. Listen, if you have time, they're going to tell you, hey, I'm so sorry, honey. Yesterday I went to the hospital. Jimmy was so sick. Empathize. And then you realize they're talking about their dog, whatever. So try to kind of fit in, like, talk to your colleagues, but still maintain the professional conduct. Then you'll succeed. You may find some, nurses or patients that are racist. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've not, done anybody any harm. If somebody doesn't like you just for who you are, talk to your charge nurse, hey, or your director. You say, hey, may I get somebody else to precept me tonight or tomorrow? And then they will switch, because some people will just not like you. You didn't do anything to them or for them, but they just don't like you. Or if you get a doctor that's like, can I get another nurse? Like, I don't know what you're saying, because of your accent. Just say in a calm tone, all right, I'll go talk to my church nurse and they'll give you a call. Or hold on, I'll get you somebody on the line. Be confident, speak calmly, do not lose your temper. Once you are like 6 months or 8 months, you know your own way, people will respect you, and then life goes on. Do not be that nurse that gets anxiety every time they're going to work. That means there's something that's not resolved. Resolve what you can at work. If it means changing whoever you're working with, but you're going to succeed. I'm a charge nurse now. So there are days when I find that we are working 6 nurses, I'm the charge nurse, and all the 5 nurses are international nurses. They're either from Nigeria, Kenya, Philippines, Zimbabwe, wherever. So if a patient is being racist, they're going to be calling for the charge nurse, and guess who shows up? So you're going to succeed. You're going to meet very nice people, get your social connections. We even have groups like nurses welfare groups. We have one that has 6 groups, like A, B, C, D, E, F. And each group has 300 nurses. And all these nurses are from Kenya. There's no way you're going to meet someone to interact with, someone to share with, ask a question. If there's bereavement, those welfare groups, we can come together and help out. So stay connected, stay grounded, talk to someone that has been ahead of you, and then you'll do well. Finances, that's a big thing. When we come here, the expectations are very high. That we're gonna come and our first paycheck or second paycheck will be able to start a project back home, take my brother to school, build a house. No, it's not gonna be like that. When you're coming in, you're gonna start working 3 days a week. If you work 3 days a week and your spouse maybe is not working, that's only enough to pay your bills. That's it. So give yourself time. Once you get off orientation and you know what you're doing, like you're competent in the, your medications, you can work very well, you're going to pick an extra shift here and there. That's the money you're going to use to do your projects, to fill in the gaps. And then with time, your spouse will, if your spouse is a professional, they are a doctor, they are an engineer, let them come with their transcripts so that when they get here, first thing, let them go to the credential evaluation services. Just like CGFNS, there's one that does all the others. Let them evaluate the papers and see what equivalent it is in the US. That way they can get a job in their line of profession, and they will be contented with what they do. However, if they were doing like jobs that are not, the daily hustles, then they can come here. There are very many jobs. There's no labor here. Like there's scarcity of people to do maybe plumbing, electricity, whatever things. Because if you got a leakage, you have to put in, a work order. It's going to take a day or 2 days for someone to show up. Like, there's a lot of work. There are no people to work. So when they come here, there's stores. They can work at stores. Let's say in Kenya, it's like a store is like supermarket. They can get supermarket jobs. They can get paid from $10 to $20 an hour, and then they can keep looking and get something good. So there are jobs for everyone. Patience is required. Take your time. Consider what's important to you. Is it family? Is it what's important to you comes first? If you all need to take a break so that one partner can be confident with what they do, give them that break, and then the other one will join. So it's a lot of communication, and with time, you get to work overtime, and now you have surplus income. You can go back home, do some projects. You're going to get your second car. You're going to pay your bills with one paycheck, but that's going to come with time. Childcare. There are daycare centers. You can pay between $200 and $300 per week. So you have to consider what works for you. Because if your partner is not working and you're taking kids to daycare, you're going to pay $200 a week. That's hard. You can do opposite shifts so that when you're off, the other one is working, and you save on daycare. Children cannot be left alone. So you're going to have like car seats until they're like 16 going up. So if they're young, you have to go everywhere with them. You go shopping, whatever. But it can be done. It can be done. Just give yourself some grace, patience with each other, communicate, prioritize what's important to you, and then you're going to succeed. I've been talking a lot. Let me take some water and see if we got any questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Angeline. It's getting hot. I've been following, and I like the flow. The advice, the information is coming up very well. And I can see that nurses are really following up because the questions have been streaming in. I will be answering a few as I allow you to take some water.
Water. Whatever. Water.
Yeah, so Dennis is already in. We'll allow Mary Sylvia from Passcode Consultants a few minutes to just tell us about Passcode. And what we do, then we come back to read the questions as we allow our guests to take some rest. So, MS, if you can hear me, you have about 5 minutes. Thank you. Okay, so sounds like Mary Sylvia is not ready. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through the questions, and I will start with the questions that I can answer on my side, and then for the other questions, I will allow our guests to answer. Don't be so much in a hurry to go today because we have another guest who is joining in and who has experience for working in Canada and also the USA. Yeah, so allow me to sample a few questions that have been asked. I'll start with a question that I'm going to answer. Someone is asking, now that the NCLEX is changing, are we teaching the new NCLEX? And when is the next class for NCLEX? So that question is on my part, and I will answer it. The NCLEX examination changes every 3 years, and the major change occurred in 2023. That is when we got the new generation NCLEX. And after 3 years, that is 2026, the next change is this coming April. And as Passcode consultants, we have already done 2 major webinars on how the NCLEX is changing. The last webinar on how the NCLEX is changing was on 1st of February this year. If you can go to our YouTube channel, Passcode Nursing Consultants, you will see a full video on how NCLEX is changing, and you will be able to listen to those changes. The changes we are experiencing this year, 2026, are few. But as Passcode consultants, we started implementing the new test plan for 2026 in January of this year. So our lot for November, January, and February are already learning the new test plan for NCLEX. The next intake for NCLEX at Passcode will be on 9th March, Monday. And so if you want to join, you can always get in touch with us. Our number will be posted on the chat box for everyone to see, but I can type it right now, +254 726 311 477. You can WhatsApp that number and you'll be guided on how to join the NCLEX current program by Passcode Consultants. It is a program we really pride ourselves with so much. So I've answered the question on next class and also how the NCLEX is changing. And therefore, I will allow our guests the time and the honor to answer the questions. So, Dennis, I can see you already in the meeting. I therefore will allow you to introduce yourself. So, Dennis Simiyu is a nurse by profession, studied University of Nairobi, a nurse registered in Kenya, also a nurse registered in Canada, and also a nurse registered in the US. Dennis has worked in Canada as a nurse. Is currently working in the US as a nurse. So Dennis, I'll allow you to introduce yourself, then I will go back to Angeline to answer a few questions before I get back to you to tell us about Canada versus the US. So Dennis, if you can hear me, kindly unmute and take the stage.
Oh, hi. Hi, everyone. I just want to get feedback. Hi. They can hear me, right? Humphrey.
Let me send us messages on chat. Let us know whether you can hear Dennis.
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Just a minute, Dennis. Let's see. Yes, they have already responded on chat and they can hear you. As a panelist, I believe you can see the chat. They are responding. You can go ahead.
Okay. Hi. My name is Dennis. I'm currently based in Seattle. I've been a nurse from Kenya. I was actually from Kenya. I moved out in Canada about 10 years ago. So I've worked in various fields. I've worked in Canada now for like 10 years, both as a clinical nurse and also a health informatist. And I've also recently just moved to Canada, to US in Seattle. So my area of specialty has been clinical informatics. And also I've done a bit of, I've done everything, bedside, geriatrics, cardiology, to where I am right now.
Okay. Is that what Dennis? So that I can go to Angeline. And then I'll be getting back to you. So Angeline, if you can hear.
Yes, I can hear you.
Hear me? I've sent you a few questions compiled that have been asked one by one. You have about 7 minutes. And then to those questions, you will also add a question that has just come up. up. If someone is unmarried,
Hello?
hello, we can hear you.
Yes, I didn't get the question. You had started asking if somebody's unmarried.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry. I have sent the questions to your WhatsApp number. If you're able to check them as you speak. And then the other question that is not on that list is if someone is unmarried and they want to come with their child.
Okay. All right. So if someone is unmarried and they would like to come with their child, make sure you got the consent and all that paperwork you need for immigration. And it depends on how old is the child. Because when you get here, you need to know which shift you're gonna work. Because kids go to school from, let's say, about 8 o'clock to 3 p.m. So if your shift starts at 7 to 7, then you need to know your options. If you're gonna pay after school program so they can stay there, like what are you gonna do about the child? How old is the child? So if the child is above 16 or 18, then you're good. They can stay by themselves and then, you're okay. But if it's a young child, try to get your options. If you're gonna be working night shift, who's gonna take care of the child? Because we don't have daycares at night. So the whole point is you can come with a child, but in advance, try to find out where you live, what you're going to do about it. If you're going to get your shifts, what shift you're going to work so that you can be able to take care of the child. I already hinted that the school is up from 8 to 3 p.m. So if it's a school-going child, you need to know that you have somebody to take care of the child. But it's amazing to come with the child because life here, there's basically less or very minimal social interactions. So when you have your child, at least you got someone to to share with, to go out with, it's good. But consider childcare, especially since you're single. And here, most people, it's basically you get a live-in nanny, which is expensive, maybe about $1,500. And usually they only take care of the child. They don't wash or clean or cook for you. That's an option, or child or like daycare. Yeah. But if it's an older child, it may be better. If it's young, try to see the options of childcare. That's what I would say about that. Let me go to the other questions. New car versus old car. New cars are expensive. We don't call them old cars. They are used cars. You can get certified pre-owned cars. They're called pre-owned because people here don't stay with cars for long. Maybe somebody will even return a car that they bought 3 months ago because they want to upgrade or they don't like these features. So such a pre-owned certified car will be with no accident. Like it's kind of like almost brand new, but the price will be less. Once you drive a new car out of the dealership, it depreciates so fast. So I would encourage for somebody that's starting off, get a certified pre-owned car with no history of accidents or minimal and very low mileage. Let's say like 10,000 miles or 20,000 miles. You will pay less for a car that's going to give you service. New car will be very expensive as you start, and then it will strain your bills even more. So I would say there are like cars.com. There are websites that you can check and you'll find very good deals for cars for a start. And then once you're more established, you can get 0 mileage. But believe me, they're expensive, maybe up to $30,000, $60,000. But you can get a certified pre-owned car in good condition, no accidents, less mileage, at maybe $20, $25, $28,000. And then, you pay for the car monthly. So you're looking for a car that you're able to pay for each month. If you want to pay $1,000 for car every month, if you're going to pay $500, it will depend on which car you choose. All right. Change of English, that one's not mine.
You can jump question number 2 and go to number 3 and the rest.
Can a child move when they're in high school? Yes. A child can move when they are below 21 years. So if they are high school, I guess they're not even 21. They can move when they're in high school, talk to the child, because there's going to be a culture shock for the child. I had a friend that the child was going to was in Form 4 actually. When they moved here, the child had to start from Form 3. So, because the system, the grading, over here they use years. So they're going to say, how old are you? If you're 15, if you should be in this grade, you go in there. So talk to the child that there may be changes. She may move or he may move behind. And then whatever they do, subjects here are different. It's going to take some time for them to adjust. Tell them to be open-minded, to learn, and then they will do well. Does the hospitals offer attire? No. Unless you work in OR, where you get scrubs. Most of the time, once you get your job, they're going to tell you, let's say nurses wear navy blue scrubs. So you can purchase from Kenya, but you can purchase from here. They are relatively cheap, and those here are of high quality. I carried, I was trying to save, so I carried scrubs from Kenya. When I got here, I didn't like them because they look different from what people wore here. So you're going to buy your scrubs here. They're in Walmart. They're in all stores. All right. Okay. Nurse with no prior clinical experience.
So let me clarify that a bit for you. Someone was asking if a nurse has no prior clinical experience and they are moving to the US, should they be worried?
I would say they will have more to cover to be able to successfully transition, because like they have not encountered, how to put IVs, medications, everything. But then I would say come in ready to learn. Use your resources. Come in prepared that I have a lot to learn, but I'm going to be confident. I'm going to ask questions because you are trained. You got the theory part of it, and you can go online, try to kind of learn some things, but then you will learn, you will cope. It's only going to take you a little bit of time. So if they're giving 6 weeks for nurses, talk to your director. Be like, hey, I am learning. May I get 2 more weeks or something? People get up to 10 weeks on orientation. Within that time frame, if you are observant, you are hands-on, you will become the best nurse you can be. So there's no reason to worry. Just come in prepared to do an extra mile compared to nurses with experience. Because them, it's going to be learning the system, like how to document on this, how to chat online. Because them, they know medications, they know how to insert IVs, they know assessments. For you, you're going to learn everything, So just brace yourself. You are in for a lot of work, but then you can do it. And I think when you have a clean script and you're starting to write, I think you'll be a better writer compared to someone who needs to erase what they know to be able to write what's current. So come in confident, ready to learn. And with the support of preceptors, over here, you clock in, you badge in. So if you badge in at, let's say right now it's 10:53, your shift goes on until the time you clock out. It's not like Kenya, you're in a hurry to give report and run home. You know yourself, you don't have experience before. So once your day is done, take like 20, 30 minutes on the side, see how your day went. What did you want to learn more? Did you want to see the different types of IVs, what size they are? Go to the med room, look at them slowly when you are not under any pressure. And then after you're all done, you can clock out. that means you will even work more time because you're trying to learn something. So you will do well. Just come in confident, observe, listen, be keen, and you'll be an amazing nurse. Okay. Nurse with, okay, pay entry for USRN. It varies, but it may start anywhere from, let's say, anywhere from $25 to $40, depending on which agency. You will be able to get shift differentials. Like for night shift, it's up to $4 for people working night shift. So if your agency, let's say, pays you 27 plus 4, you will start from $31. And it depends on which state. Some states have high cost of living, and so then their pay will be higher. Some states have less, the cost of living, so they pay less. So it depends on where you'll be working. So it's above at least $25. So if you had the shift differentials, you start from $30. $30 an hour, it's manageable. You can be able to pay your bills and save something. And then once you either complete with your agency or after 1 year, when you've learned, you feel confident, you can move to a state that pays better or a town that pays more, or get another job that's gonna pay you better. So pay entry about 25 up to $35 or $40, depending also on your experience and your agreement with whoever is employing you. But don't worry of the pay. Once you get here, jobs are there, and you can change jobs, and you can do what it takes to get what you need to earn. But no employer is going to offer you money that will not be sufficient for you to pay your bills and lead a good life. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Okay, thank you so much, Angeline, for addressing those questions. I can see that people are still asking questions, so I'm going to compile a few again as you take some rest. But as you take some rest, I'm going to invite Dennis. So Dennis, I'm going just to mention the questions I'll be asking you that are coming from the members attending or the attendees. You'll be thinking about them as I give Mary Sylvia like 3 minutes to talk about passcode. Now, for you, Dennis, people are concerned on the process of moving to Canada. I mean, nurses want to know how to move to Canada. Nurses also want to know how you moved from Canada to the USA. Nurses would also want to know, since now you have experience for Canada and also the USA, how do you compare them? So I'll be giving you about 10 to 15 minutes to talk about that. But before that, Dennis, I want to bring in Mary Sylvia from Passcode Consultants so that for the new people who have joined, she can talk a little bit about Passcode and what we do. So Mary Sylvia, you can take over for about 3 minutes.
Thank you so much, Humphrey, for inviting me here again. And I want to thank all the attendees that have attended the webinar today. And thank you even for our panelists, those who are sharing their insights and giving us more direction. So what we do at Passcode, I'll just be brief. We do, number one, we help with the NCLEX registration services. So for anyone who would want to start their USRN journey, we will take you through the CGFNS account registration. We also take you through the Nursing Council of your own country, NCK that is for people in Kenya. We will also help you with the choosing of your nursing board, the right nursing board. This is where most people go wrong, or most people mistake, and then they end up getting the assess reports being declined. So we help you do that. And then we also help you with the ATT applications. Once you do that, we help you with the booking of the exams. We take you step by step, giving you honest and clear guidance. We also do NCLEX preparation course. That is a program that runs for 4 months. This just to ensure that we impact you with the right knowledge, with the right information and the right content, just to make your work easier. for you to sit for your exams. We also assess you and check your readiness before you commit yourself to doing your exams. So our program runs for 4 months, and we ensure that our students or our nurses, before they commit to sitting the exams, they are ready for the exams. So our pass rates are usually, for the past 3 years, we've had a pass rates of more than 90%. That means that any nurse who registers with us, they can be sure that they will pass their NCLEX on their first test. So after you've done your NCLEX and passed, then we start to prepare you for your next step, that is now the job search, where we will help you to do your CV. We will also help you to apply for direct hires and both direct hires and agencies we advise. And then we will also help you to interpret on your contracts. The contracts that you've given, we will help you interpret and just to get to understand what it says and what that means to you and to your family. And also something that is very important that Angeline shared here is for someone to get their visas. So most people don't get it right when it comes to documentation, and also when it comes to passing the interview, or they do not even know what is the reason they want to leave for the US, or the reason they're going for the interview, on what to answer and what to say. So at Passcode, we'll help you through that process and ensure that we give you proper guidance so that you don't get a visa denial at the embassy. So those are some of the services that we offer. And given a chance, I'll be able now to share on what we do with the German pathways. We also have a German pathway other than the US. So given a chance, I will have to do that. And back to you, Humphrey.
Thank you so much, Mary Sylvia. There's a lot we can say about Passcode, but we want to give enough time to our guests since we are still available. So MS, you can go ahead and share our socials and any other ways of reaching us via the chat box. So Dennis, now I'm going to give you a chance to tell us about moving to Canada, about moving from Canada to USA, and also from your experience, how does Canada compare to USA? Thank you.
Hey, Humphrey. Thank you so much. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, and I believe the audience can also hear you. Please, audience, you can send reactions on the chat box.
Yeah, okay, I'm good to go. Okay, so coming to Canada, I'll go just straight to the questions, right? I believe most nurses, they have done their NCLEXs in Kenya, and if you wanna come to Canada, if you've done an NCLEX, that's an age. If one thing though, coming to Canada is very different than coming to US. US, they use agencies to place you into your job placement. Canada, they don't have a lot of agencies, actually close to none. So if you have an agency helping you to come to Canada to come place you for work, just know maybe it's a scam most of the time. Canada works on this immigration pathway where you can apply for PNP program, and it's kind of divided into provinces. So most provinces have their unique pathway to attract nurses. And so you apply through those pathways, and now they can place you, they'll give you a certificate, they'll give you an okay to work in those provinces, specific to those provinces. There's one called Nova Scotia. They have a transatlantic program for nurses where you apply through their bridging program. They look at your documents and say, oh, okay, if you come here, maybe you don't need to do any bridging program. They can put you straight to work. If you need a bridging program, they can help you get there. So basically, Canada, they help you with an immigration pathway through their province. Then once you've immigrated into that province, the specific employer now, once you looking for a job is easy, you can get a job. Then that employer now will decide based on your experience how they will train you, and the training is included part of the package. So there's no the difference here is Canada, it's more of provincial government initiating these conversations versus agencies. Then after the provincial government, the employer takes you in and trains you for the work. Okay, that's one. So coming to Canada, similar process. I think you guys have CGFNS or I forgot the True Merit. I think that's the new one. So and Canada have something called NNAS, where you go through the process and you submit your documents and everything. And if you've not done an NCLEX, and even if you've done an NCLEX, they will still want you to go through that process. Once you go through that process, then they will let you. They will submit you submit it to the province you want, similar to the US, where you submit it to the state you want. They will assess your documents, even if you have your NCLEX. Canada is ruled for one thing. They will ask you to also go do a bridging program if they are not satisfied with your education, and most likely they will ask you to do a bridging program. Okay, so with a bridging program, there are pros and cons. Personally, when I came here, there were a lot of steps for certain provinces. They will ask you, if you've submitted everything, and like, I think your education is actually equivalent to what you're looking at here. They will say, let's give you 3 months course. So it can range from 1 week to 1 year, that bridging course. Once you do that, then they'll be like, okay, you're ready to go to work. And that bridging course also includes you going for preceptorship. So you'll go to a preceptorship as a new nurse. It doesn't matter even if you have experience, they will still take you as a new nurse and get you into that bridging program if they're not satisfied with the education you have. Then after that, the board will okay you with your NCLEX and say, okay, now we are satisfied that you can work in this particular province. One of the hardest provinces to come is British Columbia. British Columbia is a bit hard. If you want to get to more nursing easier, you go to the eastern provinces, Ontario, Nova Scotia, and all that. I can talk more about this if you ever want to reach out to me, given time. Then coming to US, once you're certified in Canada, you get your experience, work in a particular field. Coming to US is not particularly difficult, but you also need an agency to also help you come in the US. You can come by yourself. Hospitals can also hire you. And you will need to be a Canadian, though. You need to have a Canadian license. You need to have a Canadian passport. That's for me. If you're not, and let's say you're in Canada, you've just arrived, you've got your license, you're like, I need to leave Canada right now. You can also leave. You can leave based on the fact that an agency in the States can sponsor you to go to the States easily with a different immigration pathway into the States. That would be like through the EB3, I guess, and all that. But if you are a citizen of Canada, you can go to the US using a different pathway. It's called a non-immigrant visa. With that pathway, you can work in the US as much as you as long as you want, with no implication. So you can move freely in the US as a Canadian, but you will be under like one travel, the agency that has brought you in, but you can choose the hospital you want. In this case, you don't require to stay in a contract for 3 years or anything. You'll be there. If you don't like a hospital, you have more flexibility being a Canadian. That's where I am right now. So I'm mostly in clinical informatics. That's where I am right now. So I help hospitals with their information systems out here. But I'm easy to move through different cadres or different hospitals as I want. If you want to settle in US as a Canadian, that's a different thing altogether. They will you can apply through the through different immigration pathways we can discuss in a different panel. Okay, the difference between US and Canada. I think I'm on number 3 now. Difference between US and Canada. US, I'll start with Canada first because I've been there for a while now. Canada is very strict. Canada is the one of the strictest. In fact, the NCLEX is easily transferable to US, but the US NCLEX is not easily transferable to Canada. I mean, it's the same NCLEX, but you coming to work to Canada, it's a little bit different. But US, Canadian nurses are mostly respected in US because of the quality of training. Canada will make sure that before you go to a specialty, you actually go to school for that particular specialty for a while. They'll pay for your school, but they'll demand that you stay in the hospital for 2 years and all that, but you'll have good specialty training. So moving from one cadre to another, let's say you're a cardiology nurse and you want to move to like ICU and that kind of stuff. It's easy in the States. In Canada, it's different because you have to go through. There's a lot of bureaucracy in Canada. It's a little bit slower than US in terms of how they make sure things go fast, but more safer. There's less liability in Canada than in the US. US, Canada again, I'll say technology-wise, US, they're more proactive and the patients are more very, they are demanding in the sense that they pay for their insurance, you know? So when they're paying for the insurance, they demand more from you. Canada, in the other sense, it's, you know, the government is paying for everything. So patients are a little bit knowledgeable, but not as much as pushy as US patients, because they're paying out of pocket. So they demand more from you. They will even say, I don't like this nurse. Can you get me another person? So that's how US can be. Canada, in the other sense, people can be a little bit accommodative. They're not really dismissive. They'll be like, oh, yeah, they can really work with you. So there's no, you don't feel like you're really being pushed. But US is high-paced from what I understand. And also most of the healthcare management in US is it sounds more corporate environment. There's always a lot of rewards, a lot of like incentive to stay in their hospitals and all that. Canada, on the other hand, think about it as a government job. They train you very well. They'll give you stable money to pay for your stuff. That's about, I know that's a lot of question will come about around the money aspect. Canada money is about maybe $35 to $55 as like newish to like 7 years experience, or 8 years. You're maxing out at 55, maybe right now 60. I can't remember quite much. Then with that amount, the best thing about Canada is they will give you a lot of benefits. If you have a family, I say Canada is the best place to be. They will give you, they will cover you, your husband, everyone, with just you being a nurse. Your whole family is being covered with their health insurance. You don't need to pay separately. I'm not sure about US, but US, there's a lot of out-of-pocket stuff, and you have to pay for your insurance. Insurance is expensive. Your employer will be deducting that money from you. I'm not sure how that is done, but that's the glimpse I have. I'm in US right now, but I'm majorly covered through Canadian system. So my health is covered through Canadian. So I don't fully integrate with the insurance here, because being Canadian, I can access healthcare, medical treatment for free back in Canada. If there's any, in case of emergency, I'll just be treated here, but I'll go back to Canada for any major treatments. But minor treatments, I can stay here. Okay, so the main difference you just want to know is Canada is better for family-oriented individuals. US is for young guys. Then Canada, you get moderate wage, 35 to 55. I think US you can get up to 75, or maybe from 25 to 30 as a beginner, to 75 as an experience or leadership. Then benefits are more in for Canada. US, there's less benefits. For us in Canada, from day one you start working in Canada, you already have your insurance. You don't have to wait for 3 months. Immediately you sign up with a hospital, you get 100% massage, dental, everything. And most people choose that because their family are you'll have more stable family. Pay, US will be way better in terms of there are more entrepreneurial opportunity in the US, what you can do with your license. Then if you want to navigate how you can improve on your career, Canada is also good, but US has more options. In terms, like if you want to go back to school, they have different pathways. Even if you're coming here with no a bachelor's, I think there are other places which can take you, and you can go into DNP roles and upgrade faster. Canada, in the other sense, if you don't have a bachelor's, it's really hard to even go for a master's. It's just the reality. So a career advancement within the hospitals is good for Canadians. US also, they'll train you, but if you want to go back to school, US has more options to get into like masteral position, masteral training, and that kind of stuff. Then myself, I got a master's in informatics, but that was through my bachelor's. But if you don't have a bachelor's, most institutions will not take you. US, on the other hand, they can take you even if you don't have a background. If someone in your vicinity doesn't have a background in nursing and they're here in the US, they can still find a way to get themselves into the nursing profession. Canada is a bit slow on that. What else do I need to say? I think I've covered most of the things. I welcome your questions.
Thank you so much, Dennis. That is awesome. The nurses have been following very well. The questions were streaming in as you were speaking, and I have captured them. I will get back to you with questions that they have asked in a short while. Yes.
Yeah. I think I appreciate Humphrey. I think given my short time here, I just want to know if I can answer those before I leave for chat, guys. So I'm sorry.
Okay. How many minutes can you afford to be with us from now?
I can have 15 minutes. Just
okay.
15 to 20
15
minutes.
minutes.
I'm really
so
sorry for the panelists, but I'll send you my information. I think they can access me through you if they ever want another. Yeah.
Okay. Let me allow.
I'm available to answer in the next 15 minutes.
Allow Angeline to come in for about 5 minutes, and I'll allow you to come back and answer. Please, you can take over. Angeline?
Sorry, did you ask me a question? Sorry, I missed out.
No. I said I allow Angeline about 5 minutes to answer some questions. Then I will be calling you in.
Okay, no problem. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Dennis, for those insights. I'll go ahead and answer the questions I see here. Can I request a specific unit like theater, psychiatry, if that's okay? That's what I'm okay with. Yes, you can, but it depends on who hired you. Let's say you are hired by an agency like Avant, and you said you are a med-surg nurse from Kenya. You're going to have to stick with that. But if it's the hospital that has hired you, then they can switch you from from like, let's say, med-surg to cardiac if you request. So if it's agency, it's another story, because then that means you are lying to them. They want to know if they employed you as a med-surg nurse, that you are competent in that field until maybe you finish their contract. And then if you transition to the hospital, like I did, I work for the same hospital that I was hired with agency. But once you work with the hospital, you have the freedom to choose to go to another floor or ICU or whatever. But if it's, let's say, direct hire, that means your employer is the hospital. You can switch from one, unit to the other one, and get some training on there. So if it's agency, your hands are a little bit tied, because then they have to sign another contract with the hospital, like to move you to another floor, get you training. It's kind of hard. So when you come from Kenya, before you decide to sign that contract, if you are med-surg or you're, Reno or whatever, make sure to sign the right one, because you're going to be stuck there for a little bit, or maybe for at least the first 1 year, because most people quit after the first 1 year because they already know what they want. And so they move to another state or another hospital, or another agency, whatever thing. So for the first 1 year, give yourself some grace to learn the system, and then you can be able to navigate the system. All right. Working hours, shifts, and pay period. Okay, most facilities, they pay every 2 weeks, so you get 2 paychecks a month. But agencies like Interstaff are gonna pay you weekly, so every Friday you get money. So basically, we don't get paid monthly. It's either every 2 weeks or every 1 week. So you have to plan yourself well to be able to pay your bills within those paychecks. Working hours, minimum working hours is 36 hours to 40 hours a week. That's like if you're working 12-hour shift, let's say 7 p.m. through 7 a.m. or 7 a.m. through 7 p.m., that's like 3 12-hour shifts. I'm talking about the acute care settings like hospitals where I work. So for me, it's 12-hour shifts. For nursing homes or other non-acute settings, shifts can be 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. or 11 p.m. to 3 or 11 to 7. So other places have different working hours. But most of the time in acute care settings, it has long shifts, either 8 or 12-hour shifts. So you can consider that when you're also working, especially if you got children and all that. That's, I said, working hours. I can combine with minimum hours. What was the question again? How many hours are allowable per month? Most of the time, it's how many hours you're able to work, how strong you are. As long as you're not making any errors or people noticing that, you make mistakes or whatever, you can work the number of hours you want to work. Like, for example, I work about 65 hours a week when I feel strong enough. Other weeks, I just work 50 hours. Other weeks, I just work my minimum 36 hours. So it's up to you. We're here to make money, but then when your body says it needs rest, you rest. So you can work as many hours as you are able to after orientation and after you are more competent. So then you can pick extra shifts. Working hours, shifts, pay period, I say that. How possible is it to get a second job? Nurses are on high demand. There are several facilities that gonna give you a job. You can get a part-time or a PRN, they call it, job. It's easy. You just apply and you get a job. But I would suggest, my advice is, try to work in your facility at least the first 1 year. After your orientation, which is gonna be like 12 weeks, which is 3 months, you can pick an extra shifts. In your group, they're gonna say, hey, can someone pick up tonight or tomorrow? Pick up extra shifts where you work, because you want to learn as much as possible. You want to be the best that you can be, get to know the system, get to know the meds, the patients, how to deal with patients, protocols, policies, before you pick a second shift. I've seen people pick a second job. They go make a mistake in the second job, their license revoked. Then what happens? Your agency cannot even talk on your behalf because they don't know about your second job. They only hired you in your first job. So I would say for the first 1 year, stick to your first job, pick extra shifts in the same job, and be the best you can be. When you are more, you are good, then you can pick the second job, because then you are more alert to what's going around here. But second jobs are there. For me, 5 years down, still working same job, but I pick up on different floors. Now that they trust me, I can work in cardiac, I can work in other floors where there's open shifts. And then overtime is good, because then you get paid a time and a half. Let's say you're paid $40. If you work overtime, you get paid $60 an hour. So if you get 1 shift or 2 shifts a week, you're good to go. So I talked about second job. Be very careful when you get a second job, because then you have to learn a new system, new documenting system, new policies, protocols, and maybe you are not even conversant with your first job's protocols. You're gonna mix up, you're gonna make errors or stuff, or you're gonna be more stressed. Just give yourself some grace. After 1 year, then you can do your second jobs. Just suggesting. At how old do children start school? Pre-K3 is 3 years. If they are 3 years by August is like January here. That's when schools open. If they are 3 years by August, they can start from pre-K3 and then pre-K4 and kindergarten and going up. So 3 years in August. So if they turn 3 after September 10th, then they have to wait until the next year, August, because enrollment happens from August when schools open up to September around 3rd or something. So if they turn in December, they turn 3 years, then the schools are already full. They have to wait till the next enrollment. All right, that's it. Let me know if there's any other question. But, you're going to succeed. Give yourself some time, patience, learn the system, navigate it. The first 1 year, you can already start schooling if you want to, because then you are not paid a lot. And then
I think it's the natural course of things.
you can do your BSN and stuff like that. All right.
Thank you so much, so much, Angeline, for your presentation and for answering the questions very well. Before I invite Dennis, I want to appreciate you, Angeline, so much for honoring our invitation and for finding time. It's really not easy sometimes to find time with your busy schedule, and especially on a Sunday morning at your place at 10 a.m. I want to sincerely thank you on behalf of Passcode Global Consultants and also on behalf of our attendees, most of whom are our students in the NCLEX. And may God bless you so much. We love you as our correspondent in the US. So I know you might be leaving anytime from now, and therefore that's why I decided to give a vote of thanks on your part. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a great evening. We wish you well. You're going to be successful when you transition over here in the US. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I can see many questions, some questions are streaming in. I've given us some questions that are relating to Canada to Dennis. Dennis also has a few minutes before he leaves. So Dennis, please, you can take the stage and answer the questions you have on your side.
Oh, hi, Humphrey. Thanks for this opportunity again. So I'll go through the couple questions. Do you need NCLEX for Canada? Yes, you do need NCLEX. NCLEX is quite universal between Canada and US. If you have an NCLEX, you can work within both countries. Is the minimum requirement for both. That does not necessarily mean that you can work in both countries to like in any specialty as such. But once you have NCLEX, yes, you do have the minimum requirement, but you still have to go through the legal process of now finding your kind of visa that works for you for both Canada and US. For Canada, the process of navigating NCLEX is quite lengthy. I'll suggest you get your NCLEX with Humphrey. Helps you to get your NCLEX in Kenya. Get it as soon as you can in Kenya before you come to Canada. It might be lengthy and expensive when you come out here and you want to do your NCLEX from here. When I left Kenya, that's about 12 or 13 years ago, there was no NCLEX center in Nairobi. So now you have NCLEX in Nairobi. Do it from Nairobi. Age limit for working in Canada? No, as long as you have your NCLEX, you can work up to I don't know. I see people coming out to work even in their 70s, 75. They still actually your license never retired until when your employer says you're not safe. If they say you're not safe to work, that's when you can. People come to work even in their 70s. Yeah, they do. There's no problem with that. Then best specialties for nurse in USA. I think you just asked me that. I can't speak much for that. I'm a little bit biased with what I'll think about it. But if you have med-surg experience, if you have reproductive health, that is maternity health. If you want to become if you want to do, they pay more for maternity and it's easy specialty. It's not really drowning as such. I've seen from agencies that if you're if you've done maternity and delivery, they'll pay more for you. They'll give you more money, especially if once you have done, you have your papers and ready, you can move from one agency to another. It's easy to get more money in maternal health and delivery, baby deliveries. Actually, labor and delivery, I should say that. Yeah, that pays more. ICU interventional nurses, I see also comes in next in the US also. I think they also get paid some good money. If by any chance you want to get specialized in to become a certified registered nurse anesthetist, then you're on top of the notch. That will require more training later. But if you're coming in, if you have prior experience in labor and delivery, I think I'll encourage you to pursue that path. There's more options and there's low barrier entry. ICU is good, but it depends. The ICU here will be a little bit technical for you. I'd rather you just start with med-surg. You do your primary, do 1 year, as my colleague has said. Get your experience, get to know what you need to know first, then you can move to other. And actually, from a humbling experience, even if you have a specialty experience, I'd rather you just do med-surg first so that you learn the system, then you can move into a specialty. Don't just come rush into a specialty. You might find yourself in some deep trouble if you're really not competent as such. But if you are, kudos to you, you can move to a specialty directly. But you still have doubt, come to med-surg, do 1 year, then the next year say, oh, you know what, I've honed my skills, now I can move to something good. Because I think maybe my colleagues talk about it, the biggest thing when you're moving into specialty it's not that you don't know what to do, it's the culture. The culture will shift you, will push you around. They'll be talking things you don't know. They'll be doing some acronyms. You're like, huh? They leave you with, huh? So you don't want to be that. You want to be comfortable with your conversation skills. Once you're comfortable, then you'll be like, okay, now I can move to something I'm really good. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. I think those are the 3 questions I was sent over. I'm happy to follow up with Humphrey if you guys, wait. Do they encourage support to further their education? Yes. And you're asking for Canada context, I think. Yes, they can.
For US context.
Oh, US context. US context, yeah. So where I am right now, then there's a lot of courses to be done. US is actually easy in terms of navigating, getting your specialty. If they want to train you, they call them nursing residency program. It's easier here. They can train you on the job because the employers are more private. Canada, the employers are more standardized with the government, so they need money from the government to do that. For US, the money is within the hospital or within the organization. They will train you for however they think they want to suit you in. So if you're coming for med-surg and you want to do some specialty, they will help you do that in-house, or it's not a big problem as such. My colleague might be better to say more about, but from what I've seen, it's easy in the US.
All right.
I think I looked at that. Yeah.
You are done? Were you done, or I cut you short?
No, I'm done. I'm done with the part where I think there are 3 questions to me. That was NCLEX, age limit, specialty. I answered that was maternal health. If you want to get more money, or interventional or ICU later, and CRNA, like certified nurse anesthetist. I'm more in the clinical informatics. So if you're looking for specialty, for me, informatics, I love healthcare technology. So I moved into that field and I love it. It's nice. If you're looking to be paid, I use it for other means, entrepreneurship and all that. But if you're looking for hospital-based jobs, I think, labor and delivery will be your best to navigate to move for travel position. Lastly, you're asking me if they encourage you with education. I say yes. There's huge demand here, and they will help you to get into your specialty or education that you want quicker. I guess I'm done.
Okay.
Now. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dennis. I think based on the questions we have received, you have been able to tackle them well, and I appreciate so much. Also for honoring our invitation, finding it, being able to attend this webinar. I really appreciate you so much. Should there be more questions that might be directed to you, I'll be sharing them with you.
Yeah.
Uh,
I welcome any questions, Humphrey. Yeah.
Yes, you had
At
also
a later
talked
date.
about if any nurse would like to make some consultation. If you'd like them to come through us, we would be glad to connect them for the same. Not unless
Yeah.
if you want to say something about that before you exit.
No, I'm good. They can reach out to you, and I can do a one-on-one, and I think we can arrange some ways for me to help them with the consultancy. But if I have to leave one thing for them, for these nurses, I'll say if you're looking for family-based way of coming to US or Canada, family-oriented, Canada is good for family. If you're looking for as an individual, I'll say come to US.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dennis and everyone else. We are coming at, we're getting to the end of the webinar, and I want to appreciate you again so much, Dennis, for finding time. I know you would be willing to join us again when needed by the nurses to just come and answer their questions. And therefore, at this moment, because of your times, I will allow you to leave at your own pleasure. But we are coming to the end of the webinar. I just want to answer a few questions that were a bit specific and they have not been answered, and then we will be calling it off. Someone is asking if the agency is going to deduct money from their $35 that will be paid. No, if your contract says you'll be paid 35, that is what you'll be paid per hour. So the loan that the agency can deduct from your money is if they had communicated to you that they are giving you a loan for a particular expense. For example, there are some agencies that will not pay the fee bills for your dependents. So if they extend a loan to you, they are going to be deducting from the $35 they are paying to you. Or if you're doing NCLEX with an agency and then they sponsor one attempt, you did not pass your NCLEX with the one attempt, then they gave you a loan, not a sponsorship for your second attempt. If they gave you a loan for your second attempt, which was not a sponsorship, then they are going to deduct from the money they are paying you. But if there was no loan extended to you apart from the sponsorship that they were giving to you, then they are not going to deduct anything from your salary. The other question that was asked is if a child is if a child turns 21 years before traveling to the US, I don't know whether you are talking of a child who had already been filed or included in the petition or not, because those will be those are two cases that are different. A child who had been included in the petition, then they turn 21. A child who has not been included in the petition, then they turn 21. And I think you can get in touch with us. I've seen the person who asked that question. You can get in touch to us. Basically, the visa allows children to move who are only below the age of 21. That is the EB3 visa. But in the case that your child has not been able to move because they are past the age of 21, then you can be able to get them to the US through the other different visas, like the education visa, and you can get them a community college or a university near where you are, and then they will join you through that visa and convert it later. So I usually don't find it being a big issue. The most important thing is actually your process as the principal applicant. Then another person is saying, this is a great webinar. Thank you so much. I believe that all of you enjoyed the webinar and you learned a lot from the webinar. We will appreciate if you take our survey at the end of the webinar and you can suggest to us which other topics we should bring, which other issues we should talk about going forward. So Mary Sylvia, I don't know whether you have anything from your side before we end the webinar.
Thank you so much, Humphrey. Mine is just to say thank you, a big thank you to all of the attendees, and a big thank you to all of our hosts and past panelists. Also to encourage that let's book a consultation. We encourage you to contact us through our WhatsApp, through our social handles that have been shared. Please let's keep in touch so that all the questions that have not been answered today, we can take the conversation further. from mine, just to say good night and see you next time. Bye.
All right, thank you so much. I can see that people are talking on chat. They're saying they appreciate the webinar. There is also a request to talk about Ireland. We can do those in the next webinars. At this point, allow me to, if you have any comments, you can, I'll allow like 1 minute. You can send them on the chat box and I'll be following. At this point, we have come to the end of our webinar. We want to appreciate you so much for finding time on your busy Sunday to attend the webinar. The webinar wouldn't have been a success without you. And once you attend the webinar, you also encourage us to do more webinars, talk to more guests, and together we will be informed. Remember, we live in an information age where information is power. And for sure, if you move to the US, when you have information, you are prepared, like the information you have received today from our guests, you will not experience a hard time while settling in the USA and transitioning. So I want to thank you so much and wish you a nice evening. Once I end the webinar, kindly take our survey. You'll be able to give us feedback as well as suggest the other topics that we should consider in our subsequent webinars. Have a wonderful evening as well as a wonderful week ahead. Thank you so much.